It was a threat, very clearly a threat. Simple, understated, unmistakable. Les had been trying to get the staff to adopt a new piece of software, but he had faced nothing but that quiet, passive resistance that comes when people don't want to do your bidding, when they don't want to learn something new. No one had made the slightest effort to learn the new system. In his final attempt, he told the group that there would be consequences for those who didn't learn the new software. "Here's the deal," he said. "If you don't use this app, you're just..." And here he paused, looking for a word, trying to drive the point home. "You're just out of it." He looked at us and continued, "In less than a year, you won't be able to communicate with anyone. Soon enough, you'll just be an old fart sitting in the corner, and no one will know who you are." Well, I left the meeting thinking that he had squandered an opportunity to drive a point home, but I quickly saw that I was wrong. Within a month, everyone, well, almost everyone, had embraced the new system. No cajoling, no bribery could have made the change happen any faster. No one wanted to risk being excluded from the inner circle. The fear of expulsion is apparently a very strong social force. Few people are willing to face being shunned by society and sent into the metaphorical wilderness with a record of their sins hanging from their neck. 2 decades ago, this kind of fear clearly hung over that rush to connect homes and businesses to the internet. Many people were concerned with network connections, concerned that they would limit their privacy, reduce security of their records, and perhaps damage the integrity of their machine. Yet, few were willing to let those concerns dictate their actions as others began to put their own systems online. They accepted the risk of malware. They agreed that websites were free to leave cookies on their drives, and in the end, they felt that they just didn't want to be left out of it. I must confess that I'm not immune from such pressure. Last week, I agreed to talk to a reporter about the Web of Things, a subject that was, at the time, not of much interest to me. However, the reporter was one of the cool kids. He wrote for a news outlet that still could afford the luxury of a paper edition. It comes in the morning at your doorstep, and you use it to wrap fish at night. Anyone who was anyone was quoted in it, and I didn't want to be left out of the group. The reporter said he was looking for context and a good quote to focus his article. From the start, he warned me that he knew a fair bit about the Web of Things, and that he needed no exaggerated claims or wild speculations about the future. Just an honest discussion of the technology and of its prospects. Well, I quickly summarized recent IEEE literature on the Web of Things. The digital library is truly a marvelous thing. The Web of Things is a natural evolution of the Internet of Things. It takes the ideas from web services, programming, middleware, APIs, those sorts of things, and applies those technologies to networks of sensors. It allows applications to manage sensors on the net, share them, and ask collective queries of them. For example, it might manage the control program of an HVAC system that ran on an office building. The idea is that this system could get a very detailed picture of the climate both inside and outside of the building by querying thousands of sensors. It would look at them in the offices of the building, in the hallways, in the bathrooms, and on the outside of the building, on its skin. But it could also query sensors in other buildings, or perhaps more usefully, on other buildings, on the street, on anything that would give a sense of what the environment was like in the greater outside that surrounded the buildings. Well, when I explained this example, the reporter asked the question that really haunts the Web of Things. Why would anyone want to put a sensor on the web and then make it a public server? For that's what the Web of Things does. Why would anyone agree to let a sensor in their office or on their property or in their home provide data to others? Well, the answer to this question is not at all straightforward, but we can see some of the broad outlines of the response. When you apply this technology to homes and peoples and even to buildings, you discover that the web of things is a technology of urbanization. It's a technology that lets people live in close proximity, either in close physical proximity on the same plot of land or in the same neighborhood or the same region, or else in virtual proximity, the kind of proximity that's supported by networks. When you live close to people, you have to share things. They become your neighbors. You need to share infrastructure. You need to share markets. And ultimately, you share information because that allows you to live together. When we get in these circumstances, we discover that we tend to share information under three sets of circumstances. Primarily, we see that we get some benefits by living in close proximity and therefore by sharing information. Sometimes we have to learn that there will be penalties if we don't, that if we hold ourselves tight and don't let anyone see what we're doing, then there will be a price to pay. However, sometimes, certainly in our modern age, we share information not because we want to, or we're afraid of the things that happen if we don't. We share it because if we don't, we fear that we will be excluded from the community. We are concerned that we will be just out of it. This is the column entitled Errant Hashtag that appeared in the January 2014 issue of Computer magazine. Computer is a publication of the IEEE, and you can find more about it and the IEEE at computer.org. This is David Allen Greer. Take care.